Kano State was created along with 11 others in July 1967. The old Kano State then was comprised of Hadeja, Gumel, Kazaure and Kano Emirates. At inception, Kano had little or no socio-economic infrastructure. It hardly had very well-trained manpower either. Today, the state has emerged as one of the best in Nigeria in terms of provision of infrastructure for development and a robust civil service. Over the past 5 decades, successive leaders, military and civilian alike, have dutifully put in place thousands of kilometers of roads, innumerable housing and office facilities, other edifices, plus an array of eye-catching landmarks, which combine to make Kano a modern entity. With more than 30 earth dams spread across the state, Kano is today the most irrigated polity in Nigeria, with hundreds of thousands of hectares of irrigable land. The dams also facilitate the provision of abundant potable water supply. It is to the credit of all the past leadership in the state that Kano has blossomed handsomely in many other spheres, especially education, health, social welfare, environmental protection, and commerce. Industry has suffered a setback due to the vagary of power supply that is a national phenomenon. The late Commissioner of Police Alhaji Audu Bako was Kano's first military governor. States were created in 1967 as a critical solution to our nation's bid for survival in the face of a crisis threatening the corporate existence of Nigeria. General Yakubu Gowon has just assumed leadership of the country then. History indicates that it took months before the 12-state structure became fully functional due to many logistical considerations. In Kano, the newly appointed military governor Alhaji Audu Bako was said to have reported for duty fully prepared and with a clear vision of the tasks ahead. He held wide-ranging consultations before appointing a 10-man formidable executive council. It embraced all segments of the then Kano society, including representation from the native authority, the emirates, the civil service, business community, as well as the hitherto banned NPC and NEPO political parties. The few surviving members of the first Kano State Executive Council, Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Sule, Alhaji Salu Tankoya Kasai, Alhaji Inu Aduse, and Alhaji Muhtar Adnan Sarikimbai, each paid glowing tribute to the patriotism, commitment, honesty, hard work, vision and sagacity of late Alhaji Audu Bako as leader.
Audu Bako was a most successful governor.
Yes.
Audu Bako was a great achiever. Audu Bako was a brilliant person. Audu Bako was really dedicated and committed to his job. Some of his achievements, for example, the Kadawa irrigation scheme.
It was a beautiful thing because we worked as a team for the 8-year period that we operated. I am happy to say that we really enjoyed working, and Audu Bako being a very committed person and a man of ideas, because at times if he brought his ideas, we'd be laughing at him.
He was a visionary.
Visionary. So we laugh at him, but later on we come to appreciate the wisdom.
Very, very nice man, hard-working and interested in the people, and the man who respected the natural rules than any other body.
As a leader, he's a man, God-fearing person.
No.
He feared God. He worked diligently. He worked honestly. He didn't care for anything. He didn't care for himself. He cared only for Kano State and the development of Kano State. This is how he did his work.
The first military administration in the country came to an end in 1975 when General Murtala Ramat Mohammed took over the reins of leadership. Corrective measures came into force with telling effects. Colonel Sani Bello was Kano's second military governor. His tenure witnessed the enforcement of probity and accountability in keeping with General Murtala Mohammed's dynamic policy. Colonel Sani Bello's tenure was momentous. It saw the creation of 20 local governments, implementation of the UPE with vigor, establishment of cooperative bank, and most especially the creation of science secondary schools Dawakin Kudu and Dawakin Tofa, which catapulted Kano to attaining lofty goals in science education. As champion of probity and accountability, Kano Sanabello decries the penchant of discontinuity in the implementation of policies and projects, usually started by predecessors. He explains this in a telephone interview.
Government is a continuing process. Government does not start and terminate with one regime.
Yes.
It's a continuing process. And therefore we should not always be changing. We must have a plan. And we stick to the plan. But we stick to the plan so that we don't always be at the foundation level. But our problem, in not only in Kano, but in Nigeria as a whole, is we're always at the foundation level. A governor will start a project, he will not be able to finish it within his time, and before he left, once he left, the project is dead, is abandoned. It's a waste of public resources. I did not do that. Most of the projects when I came, I finished them, like Tiga Dam.
Yes.
When I came, Tiga Dam was probably about 75% completed. I did it, I finished it. I didn't say no. After it was started by my predecessor, why should I finish it?
Yes.
I finished it. Rock Castle was started by my predecessor, for instance, and it was supposed to be built for the Queen, who was in Kano. I finished it, I redesigned it, and made it to be a holiday resort. You know, because otherwise, if I did not finish it, it would be a waste of public funds. So
Yes.
there are many things like that. And I would like to see future governments continue and finishing all projects entered and agreed to by their predecessors. It's not right that because you want to get votes, because you want to create a name, you want to have a foundation stone, to just abandon the project. No, it's not right. They are wasting public funds, and this should be avoided. I hope we will learn this. I hope we will try and always be moving forward, not backwards all the time.
Even after the tragic assassination of General Murtala Mohammed, the regime, as headed by General Obasanjo, handed over power back to civilians in 1979. A populist administration under the banner of the People's Redemption Party (PRP) emerged in Kano, led by the charismatic late Muhammad Abubakar Rimi. PRP had late Malam Aminu Kano as its leader. The Muhammad Abubakar Rimi administration recorded monumental successes due to his positive disposition and the formidable cabinet he assembled, adjudged to have been the most intellectually robust in the state's history. A lot has been achieved by Rimi's government in education, in health, in water supply, rural development, and particularly in agriculture. Viable agencies like NADA and CASCO came into being between 1979 and 1983. So also was Abubakar Rimi Television, which was created. Alhaji Sulaiha Hama was the secretary to the state government to the late Muhammad Abubakar Rimi's administration. He explains how Rimi's government fashioned its tenure to succeed.
So when we came to government, the first thing we did was to examine the structure and organization of government in how it carried out its own functions, with a view to ensuring that we created structures and institutions that would be able to deliver the kinds of developmental goals that we wanted to achieve. First, we restructured the Kano State Tenders Board. We dissolved the Kano Tenders Board and created in its place Ministerial Tenders Board with the powers of Kano State Tenders Board. We also created self and autonomous governing ministries to be coordinated by the Secretary to the government and indeed the governor of the state. So each ministry therefore was requested to open its own account into which all resources required for the execution of programs approved under the ministry should be sent to that account, so that the ministry would be able directly to be able to pay for the execution of its program without having to go through any long and winding bureaucracy.
Government then was run by consensus, as Alhaji Sulaiha Ahmad contended, and as was corroborated by one of Rimi's commissioners, Hajia Zainab Saeed Kabir, then in charge of the Ministry of Information and Home Affairs.
It's true, in the first place, the constitution of the cabinet itself speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Because the cabinet has basically all professionals and intellectuals there. Fortunately, at that time, the issue of bringing in people for political interest had not seeped in. So he picked people from all walks of life, and actually somebody told me when there were actually 3 of us as women who were
Commissioners.
who were recommended as commissioners. And when discussing the pros and cons of each person, somebody told him that I'm a controversial person, that I always speak my mind, and that perhaps, that person sees that as a weakness. But I was told, he said, yes, that's exactly the kind of people that we need in government. So this tells you exactly what type of person he was. And one of his qualities, one of the big qualities, I can call it, of Muhammad Abubakar Rimi, may Allah rest his soul, was such that he is after, if he gives you a responsibility, he doesn't interfere. He allows you to deal with the office, and in all the time that I was there wasn't a single time when he actually called me or tells me to do anything. And whatever I bring in as a memo, or even before I write a memo, I go and discuss things with him. He tells me, write what you think is best, bring it to the cabinet and let the cabinet decide. So it's very true, majority carried the vote.
Rimi was succeeded by his deputy Malang Audu Dawakintoba briefly when Rimi left the PRP to contest election on the platform of the NPP. A faction of the PRP led by the late Alhaji Ali Sabu Bakinzuo contested the election and defeated the NPP. Sabu Bakinzuo's government was very short-lived before it was sent packing after the military coup which ushered in General Muhammadu Buhari's administration on 1st January 1984. Alhaji Musa Godebe was secretary to the government under late Alhaji Ali Sabu Bakinzuo's short-lived tenure.
When we took that government, in the party at that time, PRP, there is so many problems really which we inherited from Alhaji Abubakar Rimi when Alhaji Sabu Bakinzuo became the governor of Kano State. May his soul or their soul rest in perfect peace, all of them. Amen. Though we are short-lived, we didn't stay long. We had so many plans really which we put them on paper and we're trying to execute time and time. We are taking things one by one chronologically so that we can achieve what we achieve. From the very beginning, what we put ourselves ahead to is to bring peace, to bring harmony within the party stalwarts and the party members. At that time, the first thing which we really try to get in is to deal with the issue of new emirs which has been created at that time by the former regime. That's Alhaji Abubakar Rimi at that time.
The five
new emirates which he created. So it take us a little time to put things together so that to see how can we handle this situation. But it has been resolved by that government of the day that we should abolish all these 5 emirates which have been created at that time. So this took us a little time to get things out of the wood, which we did, and we successfully did it, without having much difficulties to handle it. So after this, then we start looking in the things. What are we going to do? Here in the administration, we are working very hard to put things together. It's not easy coming in, so many people are being employed at that time. We want to see how we can do contract.
But all these people that we trying to handle are the same people of the same faces. So it's not
from the same ideology.
the same ideology,
The same background. And
the same background and everything. So it's not an easy task. That took us at least a lot of time before we can hit. And we have so many plans on the table which we are trying to execute immediately after this. In that process, the coup came.
Air Commodore Hamza Abdullahi was posted to Kano as military governor from January 1984 until August 1985. As a leader, he was firm, fair, resolute, and tireless. Governor Hamza Abdullahi was also tactful, thorough, and methodical in the spirit of war against indiscipline. He was quick in ridding Kano of filth and refuse. He restored sanity in marketplaces, banned street hawking, and uprooted illegal structures. It was during Governor Hamza's tenure that all major public buildings were securely wall-fenced to forestall land encroachment. Metropolitan Kano was beautified, gardens, parks, and recreational facilities were provided to enhance the quality of the environment. When asked whether Old Kano State, as comprised of Hadeja, Gumel, Kazaure, and Kano Emirates, were difficult to govern, this is what Air Vice Marshal Hamza Abdullahi said.
I think, as I used to say, Nigeria in general is not a very difficult place to govern, especially northern Nigeria, because they believe, in accordance with their religious injunction, that there is leadership, and the leadership is to be respected at all costs and to be obeyed and followed. As long as they realize that you have sincerity of purpose, the public are prepared to be subservient to the leader, to whoever is in authority. One of the things used to surprise me is when, as a governor, you drive through the fields, you find some people on their farms. They hear the governor's siren. They will all get up and start running towards the road.
Then they kneel
down. 5 steps, 6 steps, they will kneel down and start greeting. And those people, they don't know you. There is no way you will impact on their life other than to give them the services like farm implements and so on, as electricity and water. So they are ready to respect you, to obey the authority at any given time. I did not have any problem, honestly, running Kano, the old Kano State, as it is. There is no problem at all whatsoever. And if you remember, again, I will go back to late Alhaji Audu Bako, he has provided a good network of roads, across the state, around the state. So you can get anywhere, any part of the state in no time.
Colonel Ahmed Mohammed Daku succeeded Governor Hamza Abdullahi as leader of Kano in 1985. His tenure was characterized by honesty, accountability, equity, and justice. Colonel Ahmed Daku championed prudence in the application of public resources. His term as governor witnessed the remarkable birth of Kano Foundation, an umbrella body which collected donations from citizens and utilized same to enhance development. Governor Daku credited the development to Alhaji Aminu Al-Hassan Dantata, who spearheaded the birth of Kano Foundation.
I was lucky to be there at that time when they were mobilized to do it. It was not my initiative as such, to be honest. It was Kano people's initiative. Alhaji Aminu Al-Hassan Dantata was the first person who came to me and talked to me about Kano Foundation. He said they have been wishing or try to get government permission so that they can do it. I said there is no problem. When I looked at it, if it is for the progress of the people, there is no reason why a government should say no. Yes. And looking back at my past experience in Eastern region and in Western region, you find that people in that region, the community, Bele Ibo, they have that community kind of spirit. To collect money and send their son or son of the soil to studies overseas and so on. That time it needs a lot of capital to get people out, and they did. So did the Yorubas. So I say, why not the Hausa man? It was a good opportunity, and I encouraged them. I said it's okay, even though we had some problem with GHQ, not with General Babangida, but with the Chief of General Staff, who felt that it should not happen. And I explained to him that it is something for the good of the people, and that's why they sent me there. So I stand by it, and we launched it eventually. And I would like to thank Alhaji Amir Antata for the great donation, the highest that time of 10 million naira. That 10 million naira is equivalent to, or more, yes, much more than $10 million.
Kano continued to be blessed with conscientious and visionary leadership. From September 1986 until August 1998, when Group Captain Mohammed Ndasu Umaru served as governor, education, agriculture and health received a new impetus. The citizenry were also made more aware of issues of governance. The military governor innovated Kaida Hukumarka, a town hall or village square kind of face-to-face mobilization program, where Group Captain Ndasu Umaru tasked technocrats in the civil service to explain government programs to the public directly. This had a positive impact on the citizenry, who in turn gave full support to government. Group Captain Ndasu Umaru has the credit of innovating a practical approach to primary education drive, which eventually gave birth to the national program now known as SUBEB. He also had the credit of conceiving the National Wheat Production Program, which started in Kano. This is Group Captain, now Air Vice Marshal Ndasu Umaru's philosophy.
If you want to work as a leader, you must have a strategy of doing what you want to do.
Yes.
Before the strategy, you must have a plan. Before the plan, you must have a planning process. And the idea of wheat came about because of the import license of those days, when people were importing wheat for bread mainly, not local food stuff. So and as an engineer, I work on facts. And I wanted, what volume of wheat did the national government bring into the country on an annual basis, as at that time? So we got a figure of maybe 1 million tons on a rough scale. And then I said, no, Kano State cannot make 1 million tons of wheat in a year, but how do we start? So the idea came that we must start with 250,000 tons, then 500,000, then 3/4, then 1 million, if I stay up to 4 years or four planting seasons. The first year we got 250,000 tons, second 500,000, and the third, although I was not there, it was about 750 tons. So the target was set, but I didn't get the target set and done without the people working. The Minister of Agriculture, the Commissioner, his technical staff, advisors from ABU, from the Agricultural Department, and all the rest, we got them together and said, what can we do? Take it or leave it, we succeeded. People's lifestyle improved. And this issue is that when you put on the wheat, as you harvest and the rains are coming, you now put on rice in the same place. Yes. So people were able to harvest 2 different crops, the same piece of land, and they made a lot of money, their houses improved, people were happy and things were going on. But even the 1 million tons we were just statistics.
The accelerated wheat production program continued steadily under Colonel Idris Garaba's tenure. Many other tangible and positive developments obviated between August 1988 and January 1991, when Colonel, now General Idris Garba, led Kano State. His tenure started on a very challenging note. He has, as some would say, had a baptism of fire on arrival to assume duty. The heavens opened up and Kano had perhaps the most unprecedented rainfall on record. This gave rise to flash floods, which wreaked a lot of havoc in terms of destruction of buildings and property. Bagauda Dam was also breached. How did the newly posted military governor cope?
Kano, being an established state with facilities to cope with such incident, and people who were prepared also to cooperate with the government and to assist the individuals who were affected by such disaster, came round the government, and before you could say anything. The people were mobilized within the state and outside the state, and Kano people took the challenge in their hands. We were able to organize the government, the people, such that we did not wait for assistance from outside, but to use available resources to the state and the people. A committee was immediately formed, I think headed by, if I remember now, Alhaji Aminu, if I am not chaired by him. And before you could say anything, Kano was able to mobilize resources. Kano was able to mobilize resources to assist people and to contain the situation.
Colonel Garba achieved a lot by guiding Kano towards completing abandoned and slow-going projects. He succeeded in completing Nasara Hospital Extension, State House of Assembly project, and the School of Nursing Complex. His government boosted revenue generation to such a level as to have become the first state in the north to budget over 1 billion naira in 1989. Colonel Garba also faithfully executed the political transition program which gave birth to the NRC and SDP administrations in Nigeria. He handed over the reins of leadership in Kano in January 1992 to architect Kabiru Ibrahim Gaya, who became governor of Kano after Jigawa State was created in 1991. The NRC government, which lasted until November 1993, contributed to the growth of education and health services. Kabiru Gaya's administration also boosted the transportation sector by securing a loan to purchase 100 buses. 32 were added to Kano Line fleet, while 68 were distributed to transporters on hire purchase basis. At the inception of General Sani Abacha's era, late Colonel Muhammad Abdullahi Wase was posted to Kano in December 1993 as the 12th Chief Executive of the state. The military administrator invigorated the state civil service and tackled the numerous challenges facing Kano and Nigeria then: fuel scarcity, general insecurity, and serious economic downturn were given special attention. Colonel Wase was methodical and thorough, and governance was smooth sailing under him. Serious measures were employed to revamp education, healthcare, agriculture, commerce, and other vital social services. Suddenly, tragedy struck on a Thursday morning in June 1996. Colonel Wase perished alongside a handful of commissioners, aides, and friends in a plane crash in Jos. Kano was utterly devastated. Hajia Nafisa Mohammed Kabir, who served as Commissioner of Commerce and later Health, recounted the sad event.
It was a terrible shock. In fact, I was in Kano on Wednesday, the day before the incident. I was supposed to be in Maiduguri for this National Council on Health meeting. So I went to his office in the afternoon on Wednesday, a day before the incident. I told him I would be traveling. He said yes, he knew everything we have discussed much earlier, and he gave me the go-ahead to go. So I went and said bye-bye, and then he prayed for me, and then we left. I was about 7 or 5 of us, we were there. So the following morning, we were at the council meeting. We have started a meeting. The minister, yes, in Maiduguri, Borno in Maiduguri. So somebody just maybe he had over the radio or something like that. So he came. It was I think he's a journalist too. He came up the stairs because I was up the stairs on one table, and he told me what happened. I was shocked. I screamed. He said, "Please don't scream." Then there was another commissioner near me who was also a female. Then the minister noticed that something was going on. So what he did was he sent somebody to come and ask me what was wrong. Then I said, I cannot talk. So he said, let us go out. We went out and he told me everything. I was screaming. I was yelling and screaming, you know, I was crying. I didn't even know what to do. So they said, okay, let somebody give me a vehicle to carry me back to Kano. That was that. And when I came, Kano, full of things, so many people were not, some don't even know that I am among the people. I was among the people or I wasn't. So my house was so full. Some people thought that I was also with them. But I was, because I didn't tell so many people that I was going to Maiduguri.
With the tragic demise of Colonel Wase, a new military administrator assumed duty as the 13th Chief Executive Officer. He is Colonel Dominic Obukadata Onea, an amiable officer and a gentleman. Colonel Onea worked cordially with civil servants, whom he encouraged to serve Kano well. After an extensive statewide tour, military administrator Onea embarked upon massive improvement of healthcare and educational development. Millions of naira worth of science and laboratory equipment, textbooks, and teaching aids were acquired and distributed. 50 new tractors fully equipped with disc harrows, disc plows, reapers, and spares, as well as rice milling machines, were procured and distributed to people to boost agriculture. Hospitals were renovated, while the drug revolving scheme was strengthened. Rural electrification and water supply received special attention. Colonel, now General Onea, was nostalgic when he recounted his times in Kano in a telephone conversation.
When I came into Kano, I saw a lot of developments.
Yes, sir.
I want to be proud that I shared my own feet, despite the fact that I stayed in Kano for 2 years. I must not forget to say that I had a lot of cooperation from the entire government personnel that worked with me, including you yourself, Ahmed, I remember. That's right.
Yes,
so
sir.
I want to appreciate everything that you all did for me and to make me contribute my little quota. I also remember that there were some developmental strides that were developmental things that were lacking. Like you couldn't visit some parts of Kano until you went south, as if you're going to Kaduna's area, into one of the local governments.
Yes, sir. Around Bebeji area, I suppose.
That's right. So it was very grateful to another local government, but you couldn't get in there. So you couldn't get into some local governments. You know, I can't remember their names now, but today we did our little best. And what I've seen now after I'd left, I couldn't believe. So we owe a lot of gratitude to God. We owe a lot of gratitude to chief executives, governors that came after us.
Yes.
We had, don't forget, we had limitations in terms of funding.
Yes, sir.
But we thank God for the little that we were able to do, and with the cooperation of the people of Kano.
Military Administrator Onea was succeeded by the genteel persona of Colonel Aminu Isa Kontagora, who midwifed the transition to civil rule program in 1999. His was a brief but momentous tenure, starting from September 1998. Colonel Kontagora's mandate was to give a painless start to the incoming civilian administration. Following a personnel audit exercise, Colonel Kontagora's government weeded out ghost workers and planned a short, medium, and long-term phase of disengaging those nearing retirement and dispensing of contract staff services. But funds were scarce for implementation, and the measure was documented for the incoming administration to deal with. Meanwhile, Colonel Kontagora went about improving the status quo in Kano, especially on matters relating to water supply. He explains.
We were to midwife the electoral process to the First Republic. So basically, our task was getting the system right for handover. And that entails a lot of going to Abuja for briefing, for updating as the program processes. But at the same time, when I came in, I didn't see the Kano I used to know in terms of water supply. And I said, okay, I don't have a long period,
But let me see how much water I can get to Kano. And that was why I was always on the road, going to check the functions of the dams, the water treatment plants, most especially Chalawa, that supplies the bulk of the water supply to Kano.
Colonel Laminu Isa Kontagora ultimately handed over power to Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso on May 29, 1999. Governor Konkoso came in with passion, vigor and resolve to improve state of affairs in Kano. Rationalization of the workforce obviated in earnest as every employee not of Kano origin was dispensed with. Other positive developments took place, including the introduction of Sharia.
I have to say that I am one of the luckiest politicians I can remember. People who have been in the system, now we are talking of at least 2.5 decades, from 1992 when I was Deputy Speaker to today, 2017. It's just over 25 years. And by the grace of God, the love between my humble self and our people that we represented over the years has always been growing from strength to strength. And I believe that has to do with the fact that on one hand, in Kano and indeed in this country, we have good people. The vast majority of our people are good people, in my opinion.
During the 2003 general elections, Governor Konkoso was defeated by Malam Ibrahim Shekarau, who also won the 2007 governorship tussle. Saradonan Kano's flagship program was on societal reorientation tagged Adede Tasau. He explains.
Spent a lot of money, and we said no amount of money will be too much in sensitizing the people. And we choose as our focal point human development and social justice. Building human capacity, helping people directly, touching their lives in terms of their health, in terms of their education, in terms of their welfare. Social justice meaning you ensure that people's problems are addressed. And that's why we established the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. The much difference between our Anti-Corruption Commission and that of the central government is this aspect of public complaints aspect. And we gave it more attention because the corruption, as far as the village man is concerned, he has no business with the thieves of the billions you are catching upstairs. His concern, his own corruption is the village head that is denying his right, the village head that is encroaching into his farm, the village head or the village alkali who is interfering in his marriage, the village sergeant on the police post that is unnecessarily harassing them in the market. This is their own kind of corruption. And unless you address the little corruption in the society, you will discover that you are just touching the tail of the snake. You have not even gotten to the main body, let alone to even cut the head.
Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso, now a senator of the Federal Republic, again contested the governorship election in 2011 and won. His second tenure saw unprecedented level of development in all areas of human endeavor, most especially infrastructure and education. Senator Konkoso said the 8-year lull taught him lessons which enabled him to make amends. He and Kano are certainly proud about milestones attained in the provision of infrastructure, health services, and most particularly education. He nostalgically recounts the laudable progress Kano State has recorded in the education sector thus.
Our goal, our philosophy or ideology always emphasize the issue of education. Our priority has always been education. If you ask me what their priority, give me 3 areas, I will say education, education, and education. These are the areas we have done so well by the grace of God, under our circumstance, to achieve good results. And the results are not only for those who participated at primary, secondary, or tertiary level, but is for all of us. Today, by the grace of God, during this NYSC season, Kano State has the largest number of participants in the NYSC, which you can know, everybody is aware of our efforts in 2011 to 2015. In 2011, when we took over, the first thing we did was to look at all these levels. Primary education, we are very lucky that my successor and predecessor was not able to pay his own contribution to beg for 3 years. And the first thing we did was just to pay that. And we got a lot of money from federal government based on what we agreed with earlier on. And we were able to build so many classes, and today they are there for everybody to see in Kano. And the significance of that design of one-story building is to say that, look, this village is important. Your children should go to this one-story building with tiles, with sliding doors, windows, with good facilities, equivalent to anyone, anywhere in the state or in the country or even elsewhere. And it says a lot about the children who go into that. So also teachers should have good environment. And that's why we are able to build so many houses in all the local governments in primary and junior secondary schools so that teachers could stay there.
A natural succession and change of baton materialized during the 2015 general elections. The very long-standing, loyal, faithful, dutiful and persevering Lieutenant of Engineer Rabi Musa Konkoso, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduji, mounted the saddle after an unprecedented electoral victory. Unlike other successors, Governor Ganduji has dusted abandoned and uncompleted projects of his predecessors and is completing them. He is also initiating many others in spite of the global economic recession. This is how Governor Ganduji is succeeding in the new relentless drive to make Kano greater.
So what I did was to reduce cost of governance. So I reduced the number of ministries. I reduced the salary of political office holders to half. We blocked all leakages. And most importantly, we had to transform the Board of Internal Revenue, because without that, there is no way that we can get income apart from the income that we are getting from Abuja, which is went down almost more than half. So I had to reform that system by creating an independent Board of Internal Revenue. All the civil servants were taken back to the head of service. We recruited the chairman and the directors using a consultant in a transparent manner, in a manner that we looked for experienced, educated young people who did the job somewhere else and succeeded. And we carried them on board, and immediately they came, they started sensitization of various sectors of the economy, because collecting money from people is not easy. From organizations is not easy. From government parastatals, especially federal government parastatals, is not easy.
Kano State has come a long way. It has had many high moments, but it also experienced many low moments. The tragic 1976 assassination of General Murtala Mohammed was a very trying period. Colonel Sani Bello extolled the virtues of the late Emir of Kano Alhaji Ado Bayero for helping to cool frayed nerves and thus avoiding chaos or mayhem. The passing away of General Sani Abacha in June 1998 also touched Kano hearts greatly. So did the 6 June 2014 demise of Kano's beloved Emir Alhaji Dr. Ado Bayero, whose leadership spanned over 5 decades. Malam Aminu Kano passed on April 17, 1983, while Alhaji Muhammad Abubakar Rimi died on 4th April 2010. An unforgettable era was the Maitazine saga of 1980, as well as the Boko Haram insurgency, which almost claimed the life of Alhaji Adobayo. When the divinely ordained date came on 6 June 2014, a new emir was selected 2 days later. He is the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and Dammajan Kano, Alhaji Sanusi Lamida Sanusi, who became the 14th Fulani emir since the end of the jihad in 1807 and the 57th since Bagauda in 999 AD. The new emir assumed the royal name of Muhammad Sanusi II. He was coronated on 7 February 2015 at a colorful ceremony. The positives, however, far outweigh those sad moments, and Kano State can only but look ahead to a more bright and rosy future.
Unfortunately, people say oil is a curse and blessing at the same time to Nigeria. Because of the revenue from oil, people are not hardworking. The money, because this stealing that you hear, people stealing billions of naira, like you are dreaming. If it is from the sweat of the common man will not tolerate it.
The role of Kano is structural development. Whether it's government or private sector, you must develop structures of development. And some of them are industries. You plant the crops, you harvest them. You have to process them and sell out, because if you consume all, that's not the processing. Tomato, garden egg, sugar cane, the wheat, we talk about rice. You can process and sell. You can process and store. You can do so many things.
Our present-day rulers should please try to establish peace so that they may have a long, peaceful reign to enable them to develop the country. They should also learn from Audu Bako, because, as I said, Audu Bako was not a thief, he was very careful. So we should have leaders who are not selfish.
To the government, please, 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 on behalf of all the people of Kano State, I am kneeling on my bended knees to beg for our political leadership to look at our situation and address the basic problems that we are facing. To the people, we cannot just think about the problems that we have. We also have to think about the solution. We are fond of sitting down and talking about A and B and C and D to infinitum happening. But nobody will tell you, yes, this is problem, what is the solution?
With the crop of people, leadership being provided, the pride in Kano man to make sacrifices to develop the state will no doubt give or lift Kano to the highest standard in comparison with the rest states of the Federation.
My advice goes also for the civil servants in Kano. There's a tradition of civil service in Kano, and the tradition of Kano people in the public service in Nigeria is one in which a Kano man always distinguished himself as an honest person, as upright person, as a man of principle, and as a man without fear to say it as the regulations require and provide, and to provide guidance to people on the basis of those principles.
It is important to do the right thing. Many people believe that politics is a dirty game. You can play it dirty and get it right. I don't believe that is correct. What is correct is whether you're a politician or a businessman or a civil servant or a pressman and so on and so forth, play it clean and you'll be there for a very long time and you'll be harvesting the right thing because that is what you sow.
What are the vision? What do you want to achieve? What kind of the ikhlas involved, the godliness in it, and addressing the aspiration of the people. But so long as we have a situation whereby people will just sit in the walls of government house or the state assembly and decide projects, we'll be growing but not developing.
I am happy to see that some people will be honored. Many people will be honored who contributed to the development of Kano, starting with administrators, governors, business people, those who really contributed, educationists, even the entertainment sector. So you find that it's an occasion whereby we shall appreciate those who really contributed to the development of Kano State for the last 50 years. And it's not only limited to those who are living. Even to those who are dead, we have to remember them. And some, we have to immortalize them. To name some projects, some roads, some buildings, so that we continue to remember them. So I think this 50-year celebration is worth celebrating. And it's a pride to us, it's a pride to Kanawers, a pride to all those who are inhabitants in Kano, not only Kanawers, a pride for everybody who is staying in Kano, because the development affects everybody in Kano. So it's a time that we shall showcase our appreciation of what has been achieved for the last 50 years.